Tyler and Sarah
we started.
are ruining this game.
Oh,
Steven, stop.
did you hear that?
What?
Oh my
Steven, you'll
god.
never guess who I have right here, right now.
Tyler and Sarah. Oh no. I would have said that to their face, even though I didn't know that they were there.
This is so embarrassing. Alrighty.
10.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, Tyler and Sarah, give your rankings on the season and the people.
Um, Ava 0, Liz 10, Tyler 10, Sarah 10, Julia 10, everyone else, Zach 10, everyone else.
Wait, you have to get Ryan
5.
a 10. Ryan gets a 10.
Okay, we're backtracking. Amazing. Well, this has been so much fun. I know everyone is super thrilled that this has happened and not annoyed by this when this airs, however many weeks from now. Awesome. Oh, not the notification. I'm gonna go now. Goodbye.
Bye.
What was the notification?
It was Julie and Sarah FaceTime.
Oh.
I was also they also just saw the Matt and Bella fight and the Juliana and Foz fight and the because everyone's asking about it. So season 5 has been talked about a lot this season. Anyway,
I would have joined if I knew you were there. I thought you were watching House of the Dragon.
I just ended it and then I hopped on that FaceTime and then I made the slide and then I texted you, I'm
And then you
ready.
naturally pulled up the season 5, episode 18
It
segments.
just came up. It just came up.
You just-
Oh my God. Something else that came up. Sarah was talking about the Wienermobile and Tyler was asking all these questions about it and he was like, do you like drive alone in this thing? And Sarah was like, no. And then Tyler was like, okay, so do you have like a partner? She's like, yeah. And he goes, oh my God, Scott, it's you. And I was like, it's not me. And Sarah was like, it's not Scott. And Tyler's like, okay. And then he didn't ask any other follow-up questions. So he still doesn't know that it's you.
I also like don't get why it's such a big deal. Like it's not.
No, it's not. It would
At
mean
this
zero.
point, like
I
it's
just
not
think,
a big deal.
I just think it's so funny that like this plot is being laid out.
No.
Anyway.
Okay. My brain is jumbled because we haven't stopped doing anything.
No, yeah, this season is gonna be a sprint to the finish.
Why do we Tuesday's gonna suck.
Tuesday?
That's the final 5 day.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
And tomorrow's Mini Mania.
Yeah, well, that's fine. The only thing. Shut up. Declined.
What was that?
It was Sarah and Julia again.
Anyway,
Oh my
let's
God.
hop into it, shall we?
Let's do it. Okay, final 7. I locked in my scores and I had a reason for all my scores, but my scores have already changed so much since I locked them in, so I need
I
to
know
like
I've locked mine in too.
find my brain. But final 7, the person that was the HOH was Sarah. Period. Crazy turn of events where I don't think she should have won that. They should have thrown it to Michael. But then Julia convinced Sarah to win it, thinking that she could convince Sarah to not put up Tyler. Sarah then put up Tyler, which I agree if she was HOH, she needed to do that because you can't put up Liz and not Tyler and run the risk of Tyler winning the veto and then saving Liz, and then you're getting neither of them out, which, yeah, he did win the veto. So, like, you couldn't not put him up. Andy was the replacement nominee, and the vote almost flipped. It wasn't, like, not a close thing, and we'll talk about all of that. It was close.
Okay. I don't think it was ever going to.
It got considered, which is more than most votes. So, but with all that being said, we'll dive in and we'll talk about it with each individual person. Let's dive in.
With Andy, always a great person to start off with.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just say, love Andy to death. But
Love,
I don't think
love Andy.
I don't think I've met anyone who's worse at competitions than
Thank
Andy.
you. We need to talk about this.
Like actually, it's
Stop.
like horrendous. It's like so bad. I think she's
Um,
been out of first almost every competition.
out first every competition. I think maxed out on a lot. And like this is like some spoilers for next week, but like spoiler, Andy didn't win a competition. You're not shocked. So um
Sorry.
oh yeah, wait, we can see all this. We can see the behind the scenes.
Okay. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, Andy. Last week, Andy had fours from both of us. Um, the fours last week were because her position was falling within the context of her alliance. She was constantly the person being thrown under the bus. Everyone knows that now that she was the one to rat out her original alliance and was still working against her new alliance, so no one really trusts her. And from a jury perspective, I think that most people are not going to go to bat for her compared to a lot of the other people in the game. This week, all of that is true, but like more so now. She was up on the block. She almost went home. She like to be clear, I really think, and like Steven, maybe you disagree. This vote, don't get me wrong, it wasn't ever flipped, but like serious conversations were being had, specifically with Ava. Ava was the linchpin here about like, okay, Liz is making good points. Do we do this? Let me talk to Julia. And ultimately, they were not able to convince Ava. Ava was like, okay, I'm hearing all this out, but
It just doesn't make sense.
let's just be real. I think, despite all of this, I do think that like we have to split up Liz and Tyler. But like she did think it through. It wasn't a non-starter. Through it
Yeah, but I
all,
wouldn't equate that to being like the vote being considered to flip. She just like thought through it and was like, wait, no.
I'd absolutely, by definition, say that it was considered. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like in the past, some people have been like, should we keep, what's a bad example here? Should we keep Brogan? That was, no one even considered that. That was not happening. You know what I mean? There were actual conversations here, and Ava was like, okay, should we? Maybe it is a good move. And then ultimately was like, no, it's not. But like, it was being considered and talked about.
Like,
All that to say,
right.
through that all, in the context of Andy, Andy was like on record talking to people, being like, no, yeah, I haven't like campaigned. Well, why not? It's the final seven and you're on the block, and the vote is being talked about going against you. Andy, I have a question for you. What allies do you have definitely keeping you? Oh, none? That feels like a problem. That feels like a problem. Throwback. Actually, let's throw back. You know what? Throw back to like week 3 rankings. Or no, it was week 2 rankings when Andy was on the block against Zach. And Ryan was like, okay, Andy, got this plan. But before I tell you the plan, who do you have? And Andy's like, I've got Brogan. And Ryan was like, awesome. I've already got him more than you do. Who else do you have? And he's like, I don't know. Ryan's like, okay, what about your team? And he's like, no. Okay, heard. Scratch that. What about like Abby and Kaylin? No. Okay, sure. What? And it's like, Andy, if you don't have anyone and you realize that, we need to fix that. And that's exactly what this is. She's like in her diary being like, wow, I suck at comps and I have no allies. Ah. Well, do something about that. I don't know. Like, it's not gonna get better. I'm gonna be lowering my score. I'm at a 3 for Andy. I wish I was still at a 4, but like after this week, she was on the block, could have gone home. Losing Liz definitely isn't good for her. I'm just like, unfortunately, I'm a little out on Andy. I don't want to be like dissing her too bad here, but essentially, week 4, I think it was, when I was like, there's no way Andy ever does anything in this game. Unfortunately, I think that was correct, and she just had one little moment where she popped off. And unfortunately, we haven't seen her do anything since, and I'm sorry because I love Andy, and Andy's awesome, but it's a 3. 3.
Yeah, I was at a 4. I'm going down to a 2.
Oh my god.
I mean, come on. There's no way Andy wins the game. I mean, the jury has given thoughts, but I think when it comes down to it, anyone left, maybe with the exception of Michael,
No, even Michael's not.
Michael's not gonna.
Vote for Andy.
No, no. Anyone left with the exception of Michael will beat her in the end.
Oh, I see.
Um, especially I think like there's no way Andy, after not doing anything all game, goes to the final two on Zoom and is like stands up for her game because there's nothing to stand up for. I don't.
She's gonna bring up the one move.
Yeah, exactly. And I think any of the people here, maybe again besides Michael, can outspeak her on what they've done to win the game. She was on the block. Scott wants to say that a vote flip was considered. I didn't see that much of that happening. I don't think it was ever seriously going to be going through. People consider quitting their jobs all the time as a joke and as not serious. It doesn't mean that it's actually considered, you know? But regardless, she's not in a good spot. Like, most of the people here want her out next. So 2 for me. I don't see much redeeming with her gameplay at this point in time. Oh yeah, you can see where she popped off.
Put Ava in the dining room. I don't know what to do. Considerations. Anyway, I digress. She didn't consider it for long, but she did consider it.
And
Speaking of,
who like was Julia really gonna vote against Sarah and not tell her?
I think she would have done the same thing to Tyler and Liz that she did last week. If Ava flipped, I think Julia would have been like, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I don't want to put you in the tie situation. And I just think I've heard the votes flipped and I just have to go with it. Oops, I was the deciding vote. My bad.
I don't think she would
I
have
think
done that. I think she would. I think it would have had to be.
she already went to Sarah and was like, hey, Sarah, uh, people want me to tie it. I should do that? Yeah. And Sarah was like, please don't do that. And Julie was like, heard. Okay. Yeah. I guess I won't.
I don't
Like
think she
Julie,
was gonna do it. I think it was gonna be a convince Sarah to get. I don't think she would have upset Sarah like that. If Sarah was on board along with Ava, then it's a different story. Along with Ava's consideration, it would be a different story. But I don't think it was ever seriously going anywhere. I mean, you'd be stupid to evict Andy over Liz. Like, come on, it would be stupid.
agreed. And that's why I think Ava made the smart decision. Let's talk about Ava now.
Let's do it.
Ava, last week had a 6 from me and a 7 from you. Talk about an
Steven
end
Brick.
game push for the win. Coming out of last week, Ava was the main person to flip the vote to keep Michael, getting rid of Kaylin. Huge push from her, flipped the game on its head, put her in a driving power position, both as like a named person to be talked about as a winner contender, which I don't think her name was in that mix before, as well as everyone is now talking about her as either someone to work with or take out. In my opinion, having your name talked about at this point is better than not, because if you're not being talked about at all in either regard, you're not going to win the game. I'm so sorry. And yes, Tyler and Liz then shifted their point of view to needing Ava out, but you know, with Ava and Sarah, they like locked in something good. With Ava and Michael, they then locked in a final 2, which I think is key for both of them. Ava and Julia now have a really good working relationship. Like Ava has made inroads with people that she didn't have before. And in this week, I think is doing a continuously good job at considering all angles. You know, we just did this flip, but that doesn't mean that we just have to like trudge down this path continuously if it's not the path that is best for us. And that's what I appreciate about Ava, because some people have just been like, we flipped the house and now it's time to just keep doing that thing. And you know what that's led to? The house being flipped back on you eventually. That's what happened to Liz this week. Um, so I'm impressed. I don't think that she is in the best position in the house to win. I think there are still people ahead of her. But after last week and this week, I am feeling very strongly about her chances. I was at a 6 last week. I will be raising my score to a 7.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with Ava. I feel like I was very. I'm glad I gave her the 7 last week because I feel like it was deserved, and I'm gonna be staying at my 7. I think Ava, especially over the latter half of the game, you're right. It's a last stretch of the game push, and she's doing it right. I think she is seriously increasing her threat level right when she needs to be, and it's gonna. I think it could pay off with her for her, depending on if she chooses the right people to proceed with in the end game, and she has to make sure that she can go with someone that she can beat in the end. So we'll see what happens. We know this next week was good for her. We'll talk about it in our next ranking. So 7 for me. I'm very proud of Ava, and I'm very, very excited to see where she ends up.
I think what you said about it being at the right time is so key. So many people will always be like, okay, I'm not in a great spot now, but we're gonna turn it on at the end. Andrew Kampmeyer, you will always be famous. And then like we get to the final 4 and it's like you still haven't turned it on, King. And Ava here, like for a while in her dynamic was like, okay, I feel like I'm on the bottom. I need to do something about it. And as we got closer, she saw her moment to strike. She knew that the people she was with, she was on the bottom with them due to a series of clues that she picked up. She found the window, she struck, and now she is like riding that and continuing to increase her position and not just coasting on that, which I think is key for her. So very impressive. I hope she continues to do well. Again, we know a bit that happens for her next week. She's got some room and space. So
Yay. All right, Julia.
Julia last week had a 9 from me and an 8 from Steven.
Mm-hmm.
Julia, I'm like confusing my final
Yeah.
7 thoughts with my final 6 thoughts so far. Final 7 thoughts, what I have written down, I'm sticking to it. Hands down, not even close, best spot in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think best player in the game. She just literally has deep-seated connections with everyone to the point where like literally no one can touch her right now. No one can touch her right now. At the final 7, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, you shouldn't be in the spot where like no one can take you out and have the jury chat talking about how you're playing the most impressive game. Crazy. She's killing it. I think for her at this stage in the game, taking out Liz was the best thing that could have happened. And I think she realized it. And yes, was pushing. It was unclear what Julia was doing. She was simultaneously pushing for Liz to stay, but at the same time, in that push was like, yeah, so Ava, do you want to keep Liz to stay? Because if you do, I would do it too. But keep in mind, it's a really big risk, and they're a duo, and all these things, and we'd be going against Sarah. But if you want to do it, I will. But keep in mind all these things. I do think Julia won it, Liz out. And I do think Julia needed Liz out because Liz was starting to target Julia first. Julia's so well insulated. Now that Liz is out, Tyler needs Julia. Sarah needs Julia. Andy needs Julia. Michael needs Julia. Everyone needs Julia. It's crazy. It's wild. That on top of the jury clocking her as well. And her holding this position for like the whole game. I'm staying at my 9. Point blank, period. With that being said, not that I see it shaking up for her anytime soon, but these people aren't, it's not like she's the master manipulator controlling them all. She's just insulated in the best position. And I do think that gets undone very quickly if she becomes people's number 2 or 3s and everyone has a different number 1. And that'll be interesting to see moving forward. Excited for her, rooting for her to lose because I want to win the draft.
I'm rooting for her to win because I want my win.
But
I'm also rooting for other people to win too. But I was at the 8 last week because I wanted to see a little bit about what was going to happen coming out of the week where she went against Liz and Tyler. And I mean, she showed that she was in a great spot when she came out of that week. So I was at the 8. I'm going to go up to a 9 for Julia. I think Julia is definitely, you're right, in the best spot to win the game. It's going to be really interesting moving forward to see if she can get there. Because I think it's her game to lose right now. So, very exciting.
I agree. Well, I don't know if it's her game to lose yet. There's still room for her to lose. You know, if it's like, I agree she's the front. I guess it just depends on what you mean by that. Because I'm thinking back to other people where it's like, for example, Sean McGrath. From the final 6 on of season 12, that was his game to lose. I see Julia against other people in a final 2 and them like beating her and that not being like undeserved or bitter. I also see worlds where Julia gets cut before. Like, I don't think she has this game locked up. I don't think it's hers to lose just yet.
I think her game to lose includes taking the right person, in my opinion. Like, she will have the power, I think, to choose who she wants to sit next to, and I think it would be her game to lose if she chose the wrong person to be next to.
Yes, I don't think it's as clean cut and dry as that right now. In terms of jury threats right now, Andy and Michael, I think, are the 2 people that are out of it. And I'm being so honest, I have no idea. I think this jury is on so many different pages. And after what their conversations have been,
Yeah.
I think everyone's heads are at different places. I think Ava, Julia, Sarah, and Tyler in a final 2 against any combination of them 2 all are completely up in the air. Who deserves to win, could win, has a chance to win. I think it will all come down to the speeches,
I feel
truthfully.
like I agree, but I feel like I've been seeing Julia the most.
I think Julia has played the best game from the beginning to now, and she would get my vote to win in terms of best gameplay.
All right, well, let's move forward. Liz. Let's talk about
Loco Liz is down.
Loco Liz is down.
Loco Liz is down. I mean, unfortunately, we said it last week. It showed in our scores. She was on the downfall. She just got a little too confident, and that's not good. That's not good. Yeah, unfortunately, a 7th place exit for Liz here. Literally one of my favorite. Like, I coming into this season would have never, ever, ever. This is gonna sound like such a read and a diss. I would have, if you told me like Liz is gonna be one of your favorites leaving the season, I'd be like, you're a liar. But they're not a liar because Liz is one of my favorites leaving this season. Had a great season, especially coming in for her first time game. However, she got to a point where unfortunately got a little too confident. Her allies and by that I mean Julia and Sarah, clocked that, Liz wasn't going to be acting in their best interest. People needed to shake things up, and Tyler was in a better position than Liz. Even if Nom stayed the same, I would have expected Liz to go over Tyler. Credit to Liz. I think she put up a good campaign, got people to at least talk about it. Like she didn't have no shot to stay, whereas some people in these past weeks have just had, like Max had no shot to stay, Rogan had no shot to stay. Liz had a shot. And it was a hard shot, and she missed the shot, and that was to be expected. I don't like fault her for that. And by that I mean it's her fault. So, I was at a 5 last week, so is Steven. I'm gonna lower it, but again, I did this for Caitlyn last week. I think it is just because I've been so impressed by people this season. I feel like the caliber of gameplay is higher. I feel like even the quote flops, which they're not flops. I want to make that so clear. Like we've had flops before. These people are not flops. But even the people that are more out of it, like, are doing more than some people in the past have done. So I'm gonna give Liz a 3, just as I did Caitlyn last week, and say, so long, Liz. Good shot. You had a shot, and unfortunately, this was not it. So it's
Yeah, I gave Caitlyn a 2 last week. But I do think Liz, I think there is a reward for going out and playing a good game up until you were evicted. So I'm going to go with a 3,
not Andy having a lower score than Liz.
which is
Damn.
deserved, in my opinion. I'm going to stand by that. That is deserved. So 3 from me for Liz. I loved watching Liz. Liz, the recruit. Liz, the one that
Liz the recruit.
Liz, the one that we had to beg to play.
Liz is the one who, quote, before joining, asked Dan, are these people going to be freaks?
Liz, the one who's begging to return. So,
We'll see. It's not out of the question.
granted, the question has not been asked yet.
Yeah.
So,
It's not in the question
there
either.
is no question right now.
There's no question.
Anyway, so 3 for Liz. 3. The downfall of Liz. Crazy. I can't even follow her. Wait, here. No, here.
Well, yeah, and then she follows the dashed yellow for a bit, along with Tyler, and then kind of.
Yeah.
It's a sad little plummet.
Okay. Anyway, Michael.
Okay, so honestly, Michael's biggest struggle, in my opinion, is gonna be the jury. If he makes it there, that's the biggest struggle. We'll talk about that in a second. His game right now is not bad at all. In fact, I would say good. Which is by definition not bad. I know my words. So Michael, for better or for worse for him, and I think has realized it and is using it to his advantage, which I think is key for him, is kind of in the GOAT position. Everyone's like, oh, well, Michael's not going to win, so let me form a final 2 with him. I think it's literally right now, Ava has a final 2 with Michael. Tyler wants to make a final 2 with Michael. Julia has a final 2 with Michael. I don't think she's loyal to it. Liz is gone. Andy doesn't have any allies. And I think Sarah's the only one that doesn't have a final 2 with Michael, and she's in a final 4 with him. So he's in a good spot. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. In addition, I don't think he has, taking the jury out of it, just looking at it from my perspective, I don't think his case is that bad. If Michael got to the end and won the season, in a vacuum, not looking at the world around it, if I was just looking at Michael's game, I'd be like, yeah, Michael played the game.
But that's not how it works.
And that's why you need to let me continue.
Oh yeah. Oh, you. Are you for real right now, Scott? I'm gonna cut everybody off always. Yezi.
When I cut people off, it's never to like get you to stop talking. It's like me interjecting my thoughts, and I think it's because there's a lag over Zoom.
Oh sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean it to be like, oh yes, I agree. Now keep going and not overtake. Anyway, so Michael though, I think in a vacuum, if you're just looking at his game, like if I heard, oh, Michael won, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure. His game, fine, good, had good reads, was able to get allies pick it to the end. His biggest issue is two things. One, the caliber of gameplay is so good this season that literally everyone except Andy left has been playing better. And two, this jury is not going to be his biggest fan. So he is going to be fighting an uphill battle, but he's got a case, and if he can give the case, I'm not counting him out. I was at a 5 last week. I think his position has increased. I think his game has increased. I'm going to raise my score. I'm going to give Michael a 6 this week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you that after staying against Kalen, that he has moved forward with a good group of people and is playing a good game. But I don't see him winning. Like it's almost like I feel bad because it's almost like a mind has been made up kind of thing. And I guess things can change. There's still a few more evictions left, but I feel like I have to stay at my 5 for right now. Because I think I mean, we're crowning a winner in 4 days. And in 4 days, I don't see that changing. But we'll see. But I'm going to stay at my 5. Sarah.
Sarah, like Sarah, I hope and pray. On paper, Julia is the one that I'm like, Julia's played the best game. Well, yes, Julia win. Sarah should not be underestimated at all. And I think
I don't think she is. I don't think she's underestimated.
I think she's being underestimated. I think people are like, Sarah, for not knowing the game, is doing pretty well. Come on, Sarah, doing like playing the game pretty well. And I'm like, yes, give her that credit. And now give her 10 times more. Because like I think people are underestimating her, not in like they think she's bad way, but I still think she is even better than people are estimating her at right now. I think truthfully, this is the first person since Emma McIntyre, I'm gonna say it, that has just the same quality of like, if she gets to the end, and granted Emma won in like slightly different circumstances, but like just in terms of the group of people that you're with, Emma is that person in our friend group. And Steven, like I agree, or let me know if you agree or disagree, but I feel like you agree. Like Emma is that person
my thoughts this time.
that just like, if you had to ask anyone out of our friends, like, who's the best? Number one answer on the board is Emma. Like Emma's just the best. You're gonna want to vote for Emma. Emma's the best, and there's no other, like, Emma's just the best. And Emma, you're the best. Sarah is that person here. Literally everyone, whether you're working with Sarah or you have been working with Sarah, literally it's just like, oh, but she's the best. She's so nice. She's so fun. You put me up, okay. But like we're still good. I still love Sarah. She just got that ability for everyone. like loves Sarah a lot to the point where on top of that, her game has been very, very good. She had one low dip after Ryan and Brogan left back to back, and she rebuilt it up to be here. Julia's game has not been that much better than Sarah's to the point where I'm like, this is Julia's game to lose. Like I could say just as easily it's Sarah's game to lose.
I don't think that's exclusive though.
I think it is.
I think we might have two different definitions of that phrase.
I think so too. For me, if it's like I'm saying like this is her game to lose, I mean like you've got the win right now. So if you fuck it up, it's because you fucked it up. Like you've got the win. I don't feel that way about anyone right now.
Okay.
But like I don't know. Sarah's just doing a very good job, and I think that if she gets to a final two, even if someone presents a better logical argument, I think people's hearts are going to go with Sarah. And I think that's normally I'd be like, okay. But like that's so much of her game that I want it to happen. I'm raising my score up to an 8. I think she's one step behind Julia, but that is just one itty bitty step. So it's an 8 for me.
1 second.
While that 1 second, she was
Well,
HOH.
It was 1 second already.
Oh, okay.
I'm going up to an 8 for Sarah as well. I mean, I guess you're right. I guess I can't say it's both of their games to lose. But I'm going to say that. I think it's Sarah's game to lose right now. I think that she is with pretty much everyone. And I think she deep down knows. She's still deciding. I've talked to her. She's still deciding. She wants to go to the end with Julia, which Julia and Sarah as the final two would
be crazy.
Would shatter the earth. She's deciding if she wants her third to be Ava or Tyler.
My God. I mean, any of them in the end.
Like talk about the best final three we've maybe ever had.
I think the best final three we ever had was crowned last season, and I think it could easily be beat this time.
Last season, or
I think we said last season on the rankings, Luke, Jason, and Joe were the best final three.
I've said that before. I'm trying to think.
I remember running through it though. Like there wasn't a weak link in that final three, and there's a weak link everywhere else.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But regardless, that would be fun. So, looking forward to seeing where Sarah ends up.
This is also a great HOH week for her. She put up like it's crazy to me how she was able to put up Liz and Tyler and move out of this week still being like, but I can still trust Tyler and Tyler's still with me, and that be true. Like, that's what's crazy. She can make. Normally, I feel like people in Sarah's position, like if you made the move against Liz and Tyler, it would be like, okay, put them up, and like now that's kind of like what Ava did, in all honesty. Or Ava tried not to do it. It just didn't work as well. Because Ava's not Sarah. Fun fact about Ava. She's Ava. Just an observation that I have made. Sarah.
Rambling. Tyler.
No, hold on. But what I'm trying to say is Sarah was able to make the right strategic move and not lose out socially because of how social and well-liked of a player she is. And that's not true of anyone else here. So work.
Okay, Tyler.
Last week I was at a 6, you were at a 5. And before I derail too much talking, like getting my thoughts confused about this week versus or the final 6 versus the final 7. Talking final 7, I was at a 6. I'm going to be lowering my score to a 5 because just straight up losing Liz, not good for him. Sarah just put him up, not good for him. Being annoyed that Julie, like Tyler, I think was losing paths. But I'm not down any further because Tyler is the kind of player to be able to rework it around for himself. But it's gonna be a 5 for me from Tyler. In addition, what I find interesting, which I mean, listen, I won't lie, I'm grateful for it because I am the biggest proponent of this. How like comp wins are not what makes a good Big Brother player and a good winner. And like Liz immediately got to the jury and was like, here's what I see. Tyler and I were number ones. I'm rooting for Tyler. I'm pulling for Tyler. I'm not gonna vote for Tyler just because he wins out. Um, and I'm like, clock that. I think Tyler deserves more credit than just being good at comps,
Yeah.
but that has a large facet to his game. Um, and I'm glad that like if Tyler did get to the end, having won the most comps, that wouldn't just be a thing that people were like, oh well, Tyler played the best. He's got avenues forward. He's thinking. I think without Liz in the game, it's freeing him up to think more and come up with some more creative paths forward, which I'm excited to talk about at the final 6 rankings. But for now, it is going to be a 5 from me.
Yeah.
And I think knowing what I know so far, that score will go up pretty decently at the final 6. But this is what I have at final 7.
Well, I was at the 6, right?
No, I was at the 6. Last week I was at 6, you were at 5.
I think I'm gonna not saying going up to a 6. I think I'm gonna give him a 6. I think that I mean, let's go over it. He was on the block. He stayed because he was going to stay probably either way, but he won the veto and he took himself off the block. I think Liz leaving the game at this point increases his chances of getting closer to the end by a lot. By a lot. And you can even see it as Liz was being evicted. Sarah and Julia talking about still wanting to work with him and rope him in moving forward. I think that this was definitely not what he wanted, but I think it's what he needed to have a better shot at making his way to the end. Because if Liz was in the game, sure, their goal was to go to the end together, but at that point, you'd have to win out. And that's exactly what didn't happen. So I think that if he wants to get there, this wasn't bad for him. Again, losing a close ally in Liz was bad, but now that allows you to become closer to Sarah and to Julia. So I'm going with a 6. And again, I think my score will change again, potentially, going into the future weeks. Depending on what happens. Honestly, we haven't even finished this week. I have no idea what.
I mean, I have an idea.
I have an idea, but I don't know what the reactions to that are going to be.
And well, yes.
So I think that is different than knowing what's going to happen. That's not really what
Agreed. Actually, that's a great point. Yes. Well, yes.
Well, yes, that is week 8 rankings for you.
Nice and quick. Short and sweet. Great album.
Yeah, it has been like 40 minutes, but I guess that's less than an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
BB
all in
Comics
all,
are out now.
what'd you say?
The BB Comics are out, or I guess
Released?
being posting Instagram next week.
We still haven't posted the season 14 ones yet. Have we passed?
It was this last week.
So I should post them now.
Yeah. I'll make a grab.
We'll talk
We'll
about
after
it.
this.
All in all, we have Julia at the top, Sarah not too far behind. Both great scores going into the final six. Uh, Andy at the bottom, despite Liz going home. Um, all in all, I'm very, very happy at the colors of these scores going into the final six. Um, we have everybody going into the final six with at least one of us giving them a green score, besides Andy.
And I think just putting it out there for next week. Next week, I think the
We don't want to
final
spoil it.
six.
We don't want to spoil it.
Don't want to spoil it. I think next week in the final six, though, I wouldn't be surprised if 5 people had fully green scores. And we'll see if that stays true.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, these are very normally there's 1 or 2 people that pull out ahead of the pack. And for me right now, heading into the final six, having 4 out of 6 of them being great front runner winners. And I'm truthfully not even taking Michael out of that. He's just definitely a significant step behind the other 4. And Andy's also there. So that's so exciting. Oh, I love Andy so much.
But that is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So, very happy with the season.
Loving this season.
Like last season, I got like icky vibes, you know? Like it
Last
was
season, we were just over it. We were like, again, with
like,
these, not to be harping down on these people, but at this point last season, we still had like Jackson here and Kayla here and Emily here. And Joe had been like surviving by the skin of his teeth. And it wasn't necessarily, there's no shade to Joe, but like he wasn't exactly the underdog I was like rooting for. I was rooting for Luke and Jason, that plot line. And like we just lost Faven this week. Like season 14 wasn't bad. It was what we needed after 13. A more relaxed season, but now I'm excited to have like a lot of exciting
like
players.
I'm not gonna be leaving the season feeling like, ugh, you know.
Like,
I loved that last season because people were annoying, and or people weren't here, and or people were annoying. So, but I
yeah,
like everyone this season.
bringing back the sounds. You know how I love attaching sounds to things. I haven't done that in this rankings yet. Maybe we'll do that next week. But if season 14 left me with like a hmm, season 15 is, I'm hoping as of right now, is leaving me with like a
Cool.
and season 13 left me with a bleh. Great. So now goodbye everyone.